Why, by and large, as a human race, do we fear ourselves? Do we run away from ourselves and we don't trust ourselves? There is a reason for this. And if this is you, you're not alone. This is the majority of people. This is over 90% of the population, where there is this like urgency and this compulsion to run away from the internal states and the internal environment, or where people don't know how to trust themselves, don't know how to listen to their intuition, their instincts, their natural guidance system, because that's exactly what we have. It's exactly what we were born with. But this is where it went wrong. This is what happened. Before you built and cultivated all the stories and narratives about yourself in relation to yourself, in relation to the world and other people, you were just bliss. You were here, goo goo gaga, playing with your peers, with no worries, with no doubts, with no limitations, with no self-imposed traps, with no fear of being criticized, fear of being judged, with no thoughts of yourself as being less than and not enough and insignificant and invaluable. None of that was there. So as we come into this world, yes, we intersect, we become limited, we intersect with various different people. There's various role models influencing us, and we are literally in a hypnotic state that we are downloading all that information, which gets coded into us, which is a collection of how we become in relation to ourselves and other people. So we then live our lives by this, like as if it's fact, as if it's reality. And in fact, although it is your reality, it's not the reality. And when we come in here with ourselves, when we come to this world with ourselves, before any of that, we become so caught up and so conditioned and so expected to live a certain way, to live by the standards and rules of our parents and our teachers, to be like our peers, that what happens to that unique self? What happens to that voice of expression? What happens to that internal guidance system? What happens to your innate wisdom to know yourself and trust yourself? It gets dimmed out. It gets shut down. You eventually learn to stop heeding it. You eventually learn to ignore it, because often when you do respond to it, listen to it and respond to it in the early ages of your life, you're criticized or berated or judged in some way for expressing that, because it's not in line, it doesn't fit with what's going on in your environment. So generally when people interact with other people and they don't have the same beliefs, ideas, concepts as that person, they'll judge that person as wrong and as them right. And in fact, the thing is that each and every single one of us have a part of us, have a part of us that is beyond being similar to other people. And in fact, the only thing that is similar in us is that we are different. And that's what we must remember, that every single person is different. And when we live from this dimension, this way of viewing our lives, this way of seeing through this lens, well, and that's when we then begin to re-honor, reignite, begin to reactivate that internal voice, that self-wisdom, that knowing. And the more that we activate that and put it to the test, that's the thing. We've got to learn how to communicate with it because we don't understand its language. We did at one point until we developed all these programs and conditions that got in the way and start to ignore it. So we lost the ability to communicate it with it. We lost the language that we used to speak when we did communicate with it. And therefore, it's about trailing back, rediscovering, reconnecting to that inner voice that is yours. Not the inner critical voice that has been implanted in there, that has been coded in there, but the voice that was there before all of that. The voice that is beyond the limitation. The voice that is beyond the fear, the doubt, and the worry. That voice, in order for you to step beyond your worries and doubts, in order for you to step out, to step away, in order for you to dissociate in some way from that part of you as being your reality, not to entirely dissociate from it, but because that is there for a reason, and I'll speak about that again. But in order to dissociate it being your worth and your value and how you matter, that's what you dissociate and detach from. And the way that you can do that is literally by regaining a relationship with that other part of you, that wisdom part, that miracle part, that innate part, that part of you that is unique, that nobody else has. And that's when you begin to thrive as an individual. That's when you notice anxiety, depression, worry, doubt, self-esteem, criticism, all goes to the wayside, because that's not part of the truth of who you are. So when you get to focus on that part and that truth of who you are, well, then life becomes easy, life becomes simpler, life becomes with meaning and purpose. Because you're here to express your uniqueness. And when you connect to your ability to do that and practice that in your day-to-day life, that's how you become a winner in your life. So hit this video up, click subscribe if you enjoy what you hear, and tune in for more marvelous, miraculous information about you, your mental health, your greatness, your genius, and how to navigate your life from that dimension so that worry, doubt, anxiety, self-limiting beliefs, limitation, lack of confidence, no self-esteem, how that all gets dissolved in learning how to navigate your life through this dimension. Till next time.